Okay, here's our garden with sweet potatoes in the foreground right here. And here are the squash. And you can see here we've got some pretty nice squash that have come up. So this is July of 2011. I think today's maybe July the 8th. Over here we have some okra in the foreground there. And that we just planted a few of these to be experimental just to see if they would grow. And we have honeydews in the background. And the honeydews, we have about 5 little melons growing there. I think we put a couple plants in the ground, maybe just one. I don't even know for sure. The squash has done pretty well, and some zucchini, but now they're starting to thin out. The bees are still working on them though, and they're still blooming. So we may end up still with some additional squash. So this whole year has been an experiment, and it's gone really well. I'll show you some of the produce that we've gotten in the house here soon. This is I made this little chicken wire coop thing to go over the strawberries. So we've got pretty good strawberries. We've been getting a lot actually out of there, and they get really bright red. This keeps the birds from eating them because the birds like to get in there and peck on them. That's a cucumber, this next plant here, and we've been getting huge cucumbers out of that. Now you look at this and say, boy, you planted everything really close together, and we did. Probably closer together than it should have been. But I can't say that it's done bad. It's actually done pretty well. So that cucumber is in there growing close to some pepper plants you'll see. Those are some little banana peppers. And boy, I harvested most of those yesterday. And so there's just a ton of them in there, still a whole lot more. This plant we're going over the top of now is the cantaloupe. And look over here, you can see that we have a pretty good little group of cantaloupe. Well, I'd say there's probably a dozen cantaloupe in there. And it looks like a Jack of the Beanstalk kind of vine. I'll back away from this. Nikki has put this sort of set of crazy things in there, wire things and all to help support it. And so we got cantaloupes growing all down in there. I'd say at least a dozen. You can see some of them on the other side over there. There's some on the concrete. But those have done particularly well. Then over here, the really fern-like things, again, the asparagus. The asparagus, at first I didn't think it was all going to come out, but the asparagus has done really well. We just planted it. One of the things you can do, a good tip I would say, is go to Burpee's website. Nikki goes to Burpee's website, and we look at how things ought to be cultivated and planted. So once again, this is our first year doing a raised bed garden. Those were, of course, bell peppers, and they've done superb. I don't know if you can see the peppers up in there. I just harvested a bunch of them this morning, and they're being huge. They're bigger than, some of them bigger than both my fists. And this is one of the most, of course, nutritional foods you can grow in your garden. Very high in vitamin C and a lot of other vitamins, maybe even more so than oranges. So those are done particularly well. Over here, of course, we still have some that's a few daisies and things that Nikki put in the garden just because she thought it would look pretty. That's basil here, basil right there. And that's doing real well. We're going to make some pesto out of that. There's another cucumber growing there. I have an eggplant back over in here. I see the eggplant. And that's doing pretty well too. And then of course the tomatoes. And I've pulled all the ripe tomatoes. As you can see, there's just dozens of them. And once again, this was probably grown too close together, all the tomatoes. But they've done really well in spite of all that. See one ripe tomato back in there I should get. coming along the back side of the peppers again. Here are the cantaloupes. We just put them up on the little concrete thing there to let them sit and be out of the dirt. Of course, some of them are suspended and hanging there. I guess you can see those. So yeah, this has done really well. It's been a good year for our little garden experiment. Our blueberries have done tremendously well. They're starting different ones to grow. These, of course, are the rabbit eye that I've been growing. They've just now started becoming ripe. And I've been eating blueberries for a good long while now, so all these are the blueberry bushes. And it's, of course, again, it's about 12th or about the 8th of July. That bush is now doing, I picked that one pretty much clean this morning. My little raised bed garden was made out of, once again, concrete stones, blocks and stuff that I got from Lowe's Hardware.